Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unlocking something absolutely fascinating. We're taking the ancient wisdom of Chanakya, literally one of history's greatest strategists, and we're translating his teachings into a highly actionable, modern financial playbook. So if you've ever wondered why some people just effortlessly build and keep wealth while others constantly struggle, well, you're exactly in the right place.
Let me ask you something. Why is it that working tirelessly, day in and day out, still leaves so many of us living paycheck to paycheck? I mean, are you working like a donkey? The ancient texts actually ask us to reflect on this exact thing. Chanakya pointed out to his disciple Chandragupta that physical labor alone, it's never going to create limitless wealth. Think about it. If hard work alone were the secret, physical laborers would be the wealthiest people on earth. But they aren't.
So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. Wealth from intellect. 2. The 5 rules of wealth. 3. The real test of wealth. 4. Strategies to avoid bad loans. And finally, Chanakya's final lesson.
Let's dive right into Section 1, Wealth from Intellect, and Breaking the Illusion of Hard Work.
There's actually a stark contrast in how money flows. You see, massive wealth absolutely always goes to those who use their minds to direct work, rather than just, breaking their backs doing it. Kings and wealthy merchants, they don't do the heavy lifting themselves. If you want to break past the limits of earning just your daily bread, you literally have to shift your primary investment from physical labor to mental power. Wealth, according to Chanakya, is entirely a game of the intellect.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 5 rules of wealth and the mindset shift you need to make.
Okay, so these 5 principles basically form your roadmap. We've got invest in your intellect, recognize hidden opportunities, treat time as your greatest weapon, prepare your character before wealth arrives, and improve your inner circle. So Rule 1 means learning absolutely shouldn't stop the minute you leave school. It's a lifelong pursuit. Rule 2 is a great reminder that opportunities rarely knock politely on your front door. No, they usually arrive totally disguised as sudden problems, passing comments, or just subtle shifts in the market. And Rule 4, that one is deeply psychological. Listen, if you don't build discipline while you're broke, sudden wealth will literally just amplify your bad habits and lead you straight back to poverty. Let's actually look a bit closer at the most critical elements here.
This is absolutely crucial. If you want wealth, you must treat your time with absolute ruthless discipline. You can always make another dollar, but there is absolutely no way you can make another minute. Wealth is essentially a war, and the most disciplined warrior wins. You have to guard your time fiercely against useless habits and negative people.
And that brings us to Rule 5. Your wealth, your character, and your future are literally just the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's like a mirror. If you sit with lazy, negative people who honestly believe success is just luck, well, their mindset is going to drag you right down. But if you curate this circle deliberately, surrounding yourself with focused, disciplined, and ambitious minds, you naturally elevate your own thinking. It's a real game changer.
All right, Section 3, the real test of wealth, which is actually protecting it.
Earning money is hard, for sure, but keeping it, that's way harder. The ancient texts actually warn us of this exact danger through the tragic history of Vishnu Das, an ordinary merchant. So he worked day and night to build his savings. Then one day, a distant relative begged him for a loan, claiming his crops were completely destroyed. Driven purely by emotion, Vishnu Das handed over his entire life savings. And the result? Totally devastating. The relative completely wasted the funds on personal luxuries, never returned a dime, and Vishnu Das's own children literally went hungry. The relationship was destroyed anyway, and so was his wealth.
Loaning money to loved ones often acts like a termite. We do it out of guilt or emotion, thinking we're strengthening the bond, right? But beneath the surface, it's just hollowing out the relationship. If the money isn't returned, resentment builds. And here is the true psychological trap. The second you ask for it back, you suddenly become the villain. You lose your hard-earned wealth, and you lose the relationship regardless. The whole shebang, gone.
Let's look at Section 4, Strategies to Avoid Bad Loans. Effectively, your tactical playbook.
So here are 5 brilliant, practical ways to just say no to an emotional loan request without unnecessarily hurting feelings. Step 1, we have the 24-hour shield. Step 2, ask exposing questions. Step 3, demand collateral. Step 4, the illusion of scarcity. And Step 5, the small donation.
This is exactly how you counter emotional blackmail. When they demand cash immediately, you apply the 24-hour shield. You just say, hey, let me review my accounts tomorrow. If they say, trust me, I'll pay it back, well, you demand a modern equivalent of collateral, like a post-dated check. A person with honest intentions will happily provide a guarantee, right? But a scammer? They'll get incredibly offended and just leave.
This is entirely about a mindset shift. You have to move from being the emotional lender to the strategic protector. The emotional lender gets totally trapped by urgency and guilt. But the strategic protector? They use logic. Consider the illusion of scarcity tactic. If someone asks for your savings, calmly explain that your funds are tied up in fixed deposits or investments. Just ask them, look, if I withdraw this, there's a heavy bank penalty. Are you willing to cover my penalty costs? Almost always, the person asking for money will immediately back down. Boom, you've protected your wealth using logic, not confrontation.
But wait, what if the need is genuinely desperate? Maybe there's a real legitimate medical emergency. Well, here is a brilliant middle ground that offers total relief. The power of the small donation. If someone asks for, say, $5,000, tell them you simply don't have that liquidity. But because you value them, you're giving them $500 as a gift. And tell them they don't ever need to pay it back. This preserves your financial stability by keeping your main savings safe, and it actually strengthens the relationship through genuine charity, rather than straining it with a looming awkward debt.
Finally, Section 5, Chanakya's final lesson and the value of true relationships.
The absolute most crucial point we must take away from these ancient teachings is this. If a relationship shatters simply because you refuse to act as a free bank, guys, it was never a real relationship to begin with. You literally must stop feeling guilty for saying no. Protecting your wealth is absolutely not an act of selfishness. It's fundamentally about defending your own family's future and ensuring you don't become the next Vishnu Das.
So, I'll leave you with this. Are you ready to stop working like a donkey, blindly giving away the fruits of your labor to anyone who asks? Or are you going to start acting like a strategist, using your intellect to build and, more importantly, safeguard your life's work? The choice, exactly as Chanakya taught centuries ago, is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you start putting these rules to work immediately.